We have quite a lot to tell you today. We have the results for 2017 to talk about first. The year was relatively busy. I won't talk about Qatar. That was signed. I'd just like to recall that we're awaiting the first payment that will actually crystallize the start of the program, but the order intake will be in 2018, not in 2017. The second highlight was recalled in the film. It is the launch of the 6X to replace the 5X. We've been talking about the 5X, changing the engine, adapting the airplane, and so on. And these decisions had to be taken in 2017 and the start of 2018. The other highlight, the most recent one I wanted to just put into focus here, is the selection by the DGA and the French Ministry of Defense and the Armed Forces of the Falcon choice, so as to have the CUGE capability made by Thales. Now, regarding the activities of the program, the environment we were in 2017 was rather constraining. There was a very direct impact of this context on our activities. Brexit, in particular, we talk about that when we talk about the Franco-British cooperation on combat aircraft. Also, we have seen a ramping up of tensions between Russia and the United States of America. Of course, wars in the Mideast, varying degrees of warfare. There's Yemen, also wars going on among allies, Emirates and Qatar, for example, issues in Iraq and Syria, basically a lot of tension in the world. And, of course, we've got to observe what's going on because we do sell airplanes to that part of the world. New coalition in Germany, in the government following first the preparation of the future, but we'll talk about that later on. And then the Military Procurement Act in France, a new one spanning the period from 2019 up to 2025 that was announced a few weeks ago. So economically speaking, the euro-dollar parity, you've seen it's been yo-yoing a lot. The dollar's gone down, and that's usually not good news for the aviation industry, and that will oblige us to prepare the future in terms of hedging arrangements for Forex and in terms of competitiveness. And the oil price is going up again after going down a lot, and that created some tension for companies in the oil arena, and that may lead to consequences in military purchases and also in terms of the procurement of civil aircraft. For 2017, then, in terms of Rafales, delivery of a Rafale to France out of the 180, that will have 28 from the fourth tranche, and the second part, and 3 that will deliver in 2018. That will be the reimbursement of the 3 airplanes that we took to advance to Egypt earlier than planned. And then we've pursued the development of F3R. That's the new standard, as you've seen in the film in particular, that has the new Air Meteor long-range missile that will be delivered to the French authorities in 2018. Then support, of course, of the Rafale in operations with our armed forces. That kept our teams going pretty well. And the preparation of the F4 development with the first contract for preparation that's been notified to us at the end of last year. And we hope that the notification of that F4 contract will follow on the heels of F3 or at the end of this year. So a new Military Procurement Act, I talked about that. 3 Rafales in 2018 regarding Syria, that is. Then there is the kind of gap in deliveries for France that was decided upon by the French authorities. 0 Rafales delivered to France in 2019 and 2020. And the previous Military Procurement Act provided for a picking up of deliveries in 2021, but there's a slight slippage there in time. So we will pick up deliveries to France only in 2022. The 28 aircraft that have to be delivered in that period, 2022 up to 2024, over a 3-year period. So an announcement made regarding 2023 that there'll be a 5th batch of 30 additional planes that will be delivered in the period between 2025 and 2030. The F4 standard, I talked about that order intake there. And also we've got to make a decision on the airborne component for nuclear capabilities. Those decisions will be taken by the French state in the time frame decided upon, and the budgets have been set up. Now, Egypt, we've pursued the deliveries of the Rafale to Egypt. We have now 14 aircraft delivered. We delivered 8 in 2017, there will remain 10 to be delivered, therefore, to Egypt. For Qatar, the 24 will be delivered in the future. There's an option on 12, as I said at the start, that's been signed already, and in the coming few days we're expecting the down payment to be paid to crystallize this option. Now, in the option it was 12 aircraft. We signed for 12 with a new option for 36 aircraft. India then, Rafale India. We have the ongoing execution of the contract for 36 Rafales ordered. We're preparing, however, for the future by achieving our obligations in terms of offsets. We have to work with Indian companies, therefore, using the offset arrangements. We're working in the spirit of what the Prime Minister called Make in India. That is the partnering he seeks to achieve with Indian partners so as to make aviation products in India itself. And we made that choice. We have set up facilities and will be setting up further facilities in Nagpur, which is between New Delhi and Mumbai, which is on the strategic development thrust, really, for India. And we're partnering in the joint venture we set up with the Reliance Group. We are investing in manufacturing there. We're starting off by manufacturing Falcon 2000s as of the end of this year, 2018. We'll be doing that. We'll have the first parts of Falcon 2000s, and then we'll be ramping up our manufacturing efforts of the Falcon in this plant. We'll also be starting off the production, the manufacturing of Rafale parts. And we'll see then after that if there are additional contracts that come in. We're quite confident that India will have requirements greater than 36 aircraft, and we've started working with the Indian Navy under their request for information so as to fit out their aircraft carriers, current ones and future ones, with combat aircraft. And the Rafale has a major advantage there because it's been designed so as to be operational in that way, and it's already operational that way in the French armed forces now. Mirage 2000, the Military Procurement Act in France, provides for 55 Mirage 2000Ds. That's underway. Also, we saw a renewal of the contract, which is the Mirage Care MCO contract, in tranches, in batches in 2017. We're pursuing also with HAL, with the upgrading of Mirage 2000s. There are Indian Mirage 2000s that are being transformed into 2000-5s, and the retrofits are being done by HAL, and we provide assistance to them. The responsibility is now on the shoulders, however, of HAL. Regarding the United Arab Emirates, at the last Dubai fair, an announcement was made regarding the upgrading and addition of new capabilities to their Mirage 2000-9s. We're in advanced talks with the UAE authorities on that. So we've got teams in a lot of places doing the main checks of the Mirage 2000 so as to extend in a way their service life of those Mirage 2000s. And systematically, we've chosen to send out Dassault teams to the client air forces so as to do the work, and basically we partner with the local armed air forces to do the main checks.
For the MEDEC, we haven't really heard about for MEDEC much anymore. It's the training of French pilots. It's a contract that was awarded to the Babcock company, and we have a JV with Babcock to be together with Babcock at the service of the French armies, and especially the Air Force, to work in this field of training, that is, to train the future fighter pilots. And of course, we're interested in that area. It is the pilots that will be used for this training that is specialized for advanced training, especially on the base of Casso. Japan has notified its fourth maritime surveillance Falcon. They're buying aircraft one after the other and will deliver the first one in the near future. France has pursued a certain number of work on the Falcon 50. We are still developing the combat system for ATL-2. The French military procurement law plans 18 aircraft for the upgrading of ATL-2 into the upgraded version in this French military procurement law. As for the Neuron, in 2017, we had some additional contracts for targeted test that were achieved. And right now we're carrying on discussions to have a new campaign right from 2018 onwards, and maybe a little later also. So these are discussions that are underway to keep flying neurons, to continue flight tests facing identified defense. And this is also to prepare our combat drones. As for our combat drones, the Franco-British one, I'll say a few words about Brexit. Of course, Brexit is disturbing the British authorities, and not only the British authorities, but the whole economic world. And we are carrying out feasibility tests. We've been doing this for a few years with our partners, BS System, Rolls, Safran, Sedex, and Thales. And right now we're at a time when we have to decide whether we want to launch a drone combat demonstrator. You know, under the GFAS and CIDEF, I've asked our authorities to launch, within the framework of the technological plan, demonstrator to reduce the risk. So in the combat drones, we'd like to pursue partnership with the British on combat drones. Now, this launching, which is expected, has not been made possible. This is creating a lot of uncertainty in this area. So this area of combat aircraft is one of our bricks. It's a field of cooperation with the British. As for our surveillance drone, our work is continuing. There are 4 countries supervised by the OCCAR. We have 3 major industrialists that are working together right now: Airbus, Leonardo, and Dassault. The choice was to make sure that the 4th nation would be Germany and the prime contractor would be Airbus. And so therefore we have teams in Germany working with our teams from Airbus. And the next step now is a full development and acquisition offer of these surveillance drones. This is part of the military law, and we're waiting for a contract in 2019 from OCCAR to the contractor, and from the contractor to its partners. As for combat aviation, the President of the Republic has shown his determination to work in the future with Germany. This is what happened last July. He said that we would need to have a road plan in 2018, and so we are part of that. We're already working with Airbus to prepare this roadmap. Of course, we're working with the French, with the DGA, with the armies, the French armies, with the other partners, Thales and Safran, so as to prepare this roadmap. And we're preparing all the systems in the large sense, the air combat system, which is not only the aircraft, but the aircraft, the drones, the surveillance drones, combat drones, all the networks to link these domains, the future AWACS, the future relay aircraft, etc. And we are working more particularly on concepts of combat aircraft for the future. So these are combat aircraft that should be commissioned by 2040. As for the business jet market, well, this is a difficult market since a number of years now. But there's 2 interesting pieces of news for us in 2017. First of all, the pre-owned market is feeling better. We've observed the number of aircraft sold, the stocks of pre-owned aircraft amongst our brokers, and that we have also, they have sold better. And the drop in prices of these pre-owned aircraft, the drop in prices has stopped now, and we are stabilizing the prices, which is good news. In general, when the pre-owned aircraft market is doing better, the new aircraft market also does better. There was a strong recovery in the United States at the end of 2017, and that was rather positive for us. And in terms of the North American continent, and the second topic being the stopping of the Silvercrest engines, we have launched a 6X program to replace the 5X program. I'll talk about this a little later, but I'd like to say immediately that the launching of the 6X is not to replace the preparation of the future and the launching of the future Falcon that had already mentioned to you, although I hadn't said much, and I won't tell you much more actually today. Now, as for the 6X, the market segment, the objective was to do something that would resemble the 5X, because the market is expecting a very comfortable cabin. So we had to choose an engine that would be as close as possible to what was the Silvercrest in terms of technical specifications, and we have not changed that. It is the only engine we've found, which is Pratt & Whitney, the 812 from the family of the Pratt & Whitney's 800 engines. It is a bit heavier, a bit more powerful, and we had to re-optimize the aircraft to make it a 6X. So the 6X will be slightly longer with a larger volume, same cabin size in terms of width, a slightly longer cabin, more space, more mass. The engine was slightly heavier. That's a 6X. And we will reverse the risk curves. Far too many risks with the Silvercrest, fewer risks with the Pratt & Whitney, and so we will have a more serious program, which is planned to deliver the first aircraft in 2022 with the first maiden flight, which is planned at the very beginning of 2021. The performances, we talked a lot about this when we announced this new aircraft. It is 5,500 NMs at Mach 0.8. It can go up to Mach 0.9, and at Mach 0.85, we can go from Moscow to New York, Paris, Beijing, Shanghai, Melbourne, and we can also go from London to Los Angeles. The future Falcon, well, we are advancing our studies very seriously. We are in an active phase of pre-development of this aircraft. For confidentiality reasons, I can't tell you much more. You can ask your questions, but I will not answer them. And we are setting up the investments to prepare the arrival of this future Falcon. Falcon 8X, it's a great success. It's an aircraft that is mature. Our clients really appreciate it, and it was certified to be used in London City Airport. So the DNA of this aircraft is very flexible. It can be used on small tracks. It goes from Singapore to London. 8X was equipped right from the beginning with the new Falcon Eye system that offers very high level of maturity, that offers better safety to the pilot, and it is very much in demand, and it will equip our other aircraft, and it's already equipping our other aircraft, and it will equip our future aircraft for those who choose this option. We want to have a better connectivity in our aircraft because there's some greater demand each and every day passing by, a higher rate, and we want people to be able to connect around the world with all the communication networks. That is one of the priorities that we have given to our Falcons. So this is the reviewed range with the arrival of the 6X. And so now we have a range which has been completed thanks to the 6X. And the marketing has begun. We've delivered our 2,500th Falcon. So we have 2,200, 2,300 Falcons in the world today. And the very old ones, Falcon 10s and 20s, are stopping to be used. But we still have a lot of aircraft that are in service everywhere. And since we have a lot of aircraft in service everywhere, we have to keep improving our support. This is a great expectation from our customers. So a lot of efforts have been made. We've done this year after year in the field of support. These efforts have been recognized, first by our clients. Secondly, they've been recognized by those who rate us. You know that there are pro pilots. IEN is very important in this area, and they are noting us, rating us in terms of support, and we're doing much better. We're not doing this for the rating, but we're doing this for the satisfaction of our clients, and we will keep doing this. There'll be more options offered to our clients, and there will be additional services that will also be proposed. Now to go on to the results of 2017. The results, so the number of orders as announced at the beginning of the year, 41 aircraft with a cancellation of 35X. So greater number of sales compared to 2016. As for the Rafale, the Qatar contract didn't enter in 2017. I hope that it will enter in the coming days in 2018, therefore. As for the deliveries, 49 deliveries of Falcons. We thought it would be around 45, so we're slightly above the mark as in 2016. And we delivered also 9 Rafales, but not exactly the same breakdown between France and Egypt. So therefore, the backlog today is 52 Falcons and 101 Rafales. And among this 101 Rafales, you have 70 for export, without those for Qatar, and 31, which is the second tranche, second part, plus the 3 we'll deliver in 2018. In terms of our figures, the order intake is 3.2 billion, so up compared to the Falcon order intake. The net sales, 4.8 billion. Here again, it is up compared to 2016, and our backlog is stabilized at 18.8 billions of euros. Now, as for R&D, in terms of percentage, this has gone down 6.5% of total sales, but this can be explained by the increase in our net sales. We have spent 313 millions of euros in 2017, slightly behind, not compared to 2016, but compared to what we thought we would be achieving, because we've worked a lot on the 5X with our test flights, and in September we stopped as soon as we understood that the engine problem would not allow us to normally develop the 5X before reaching the cancellation of the Silver Crest. So in the coming years, with the 6X and the future Falcon, we should be increasing this budget, research and development budget. Thales has published its accounts. So as you might have seen, each year passing by, there's been an improvement in the adjusted net margin of Thales. So this company is doing well. It has progressed a lot. So we are at 6.2%, 982 millions of euros, and we have 25 or 26% of this, which is going to feed the net, as you'll see later on. Just have to remind you that Thales has decided to purchase Gemalto, and this will be done in 2018. Income statement, consolidated income statement. So operational result is going up 348 million compared to the 218 million. So a net improvement, which is related to the net sales. I am skipping the financial result, which is identical. Thales, 245 millions of euros compared to the 983 in the previous slide. Slight increase in taxes because of the increase in the net sales, and also a certain number of forecasts because the tax code is changing. There'll be more taxes, and there'll be more taxes this year, as you know, to make up for the past. A net margin, which is at 489 million, up by 23% compared to 2016. And the net margin is 10.2% compared to 10.7%, because the proportion of net contribution from Thales proportionately to the sales is slightly under, and the tax proportion is slightly higher. Available cash, 1 billion of available cash. Two reasons for that. The first reason are the down payments for the Rafale export contracts. And secondly, we have reduced our stocks because we have slightly slowed down the manufacturing pace of Falcons to adapt ourselves to the market that has declined in the past few years. The free cash flow is around 1.2 billion. I'm speaking under the control of Loic. The proportion of dividends, so the dividends on the net income of 489 million, so we're maintaining the same payout. And the payout is low if we look at the international companies, is weak if you look at the other French companies. And that's the choice of the main shareholder, Mr. Dassault. We're going to keep the money in the company to prepare for the future. But we're going to pay out dividends to the shareholder, 26%, that is 127 million for 2017. That is up compared to 2016. The group's policy historically is to pay out shares to have profit sharing for the employees so that all the employees might be part of this. We're going to pay 99 million euros, which is up compared to 2016. So we have this rule of 3/3, 1/4 for the shareholder, 1/4 for the employees, and 2/4 for the Dassault company that's going to preserve them to prepare for the future. Transformation plan. Well, you know that there's a lot of tension in our Falcon prices. There are tensions on the market. So in this highly competitive world, we need to improve our efficiency. So we've launched a transformation plan that consists in having a lot more digital. We're going to specialize our plants, our factories. We have started a number of projects, a certain number of manufacturing transfers to better specialize our factories, to better invest in the sites that we're going to preserve. We're going to preserve all our sites so as to be more efficient in the future. Our outlooks for 2018, you see it here on this slide. So deliver the F3R standard to the French Army, to have a contract for the Rafale F4 standard, sign the order of electronic war aircraft CUJ, take part in the contract that will allow us to launch, develop the whole series of MALE drone European contract program. We will definitely be candidates to obtain the European funds for this cooperation program. Pursue the development of the Neuron. Neuron is a wonderful test to assess stealth and find out what we can have as combat drones. Launch studies for the future combat system, and we're working hand in hand with Airbus and with the DGA and with the German DGA. Conclude the Mirage 2000-9, continue promotions of Rafales. There are other countries that are going to join Rafale, other countries that already have Rafale that will take options, continue selling Falcons, the whole range, which is being renewed, execute our contracts underway, while respecting the schedules, quality, and costs, pursue our efforts in the field of support. This is something we are pursuing in the civil world and the military world. For France, we will pursue our reforms to allow us to make these aircraft available so that industrialists might be more efficient and at the service of our armies. Develop the 6X, prepare the future Falcon, build this plant in India, and make sure that the company is efficient in the future through this transformation plan. So therefore, a very busy year. We are going to have guidance. 40 Falcons will be delivered. You know that we are very prudent, so we are ramping down our production rate. We will see how the market behaves in 2018 to find out if we have to adapt our production rate or increase the rate. The deliveries of 12 Rafales, 3 to France and 9 for exports, and a net sales in 2018 that will be close to that we had obtained in 2017. So this is what I wanted to tell you as an introduction before answering your questions now.